Okay. Oh, there we go. Alrighty. Yes, for some reason it switched microphones on me. And it's not on my end. No, it's not. The Non-Gaming Gamer! Bright and early in the morning or afternoon for you. Maybe evening. So, awesome. We got folks right out the gate. And we have to give much love and much appreciation. And Lieutenant Dan's legs, who was last seen playing Call of Duty, my nameless family, an awesome guy, the Dale Earnhardt of Zombie NASCAR, and an all-around good egg, and someone who goes to places that I would love to go, like Newport Beach. And I hope you had fun at Newport Beach. And you know, just everybody, and don't think I forgot you, JJ the Bunny, aka Funny Bunny, aka Hugs Bunny, aka Punny Bunny, aka the March Hare. I'm not sure if we're gonna continue with that, but aka Techie Bunny, aka an all-around good egg and awesome guy. And I'm so happy to have him here as my moderator. I hope you're having a wonderful lunch, and inquiring minds want to know what you're having for lunch today, because the stream cannot be complete without finding out what JJ's having for lunch. And Non-Gaming Gamer, I hope you're feeling better today. I hope that you're continuing to recover, and that everything gentled out after your surgery. And Lieutenant Dan giving a great big old welcome to everybody. Smack in the middle, lol, 12 noon. Oh, high noon. See, old cowboy movie, if you've never seen it. Actually, every once in a while I get this thing about watching old westerns. It just hits me all of a sudden. It's like, you know what? I need to watch a western. And High Noon, one of the best. You said that enough times, it's going to be true someday. Hey, you know, it doesn't take much to make something a fact. You just have to get enough people to say it over and over again, and that is my goal. Currently planning my trip to, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin on the bike. Oh, dude. I'm telling you, if you had a sidecar for that sucker, I'd say swing by and pick me up. Yep, doing good. My brother brought me a door hoop for basketball. Yes! See? Next year, school, you know, you can start getting that practice in for the basketball. Just having a sub again. Was busy and didn't want to mess with going out. Also, it's raining. Yeah, we don't get a lot of that out here in California, but, you know, we're working on it. Although, it's nice when we don't have it all at once. It is a truly special day when in just over 24 hours you get 100 inches of rain. We did that once. I would not recommend it. It's 43 and raining. Not sure where summer went. Wow, you guys looped right back into winter/spring. But Non-Gaming Gamer, I am so glad that you are able to I love rain, but I love sun. We had a couple. Oh, you had earthquakes. Oh my gosh. I mean, you know, it's like we don't usually get them kicked up, you know, from SoCal from up here, but wow. You know, I mean, really, and it's like for everybody else in California, pretty much if it's less than 4 to 5.0 on the Richter scale, we really don't pay much mind to it. I mean, we'll notice it, but it's like, oh, there was an earthquake. I had an aunt who came out to visit once years and years and years ago. And she was terrified. She was from Louisiana, my dad's sister. And she wanted to come out to visit, but she was terrified of coming to California because of earthquakes. She said, I know there's going to be an earthquake. I know there's going to be an earthquake. And so, you know, my dad talked her into coming out. He said, we haven't had an earthquake in a long time. You know, they're very rare. They're very little. Sure enough, she lands. She's not in California 24 hours and like a 6.0 hits. It took everything not to have her go back to the airport, get on a plane, and fly. She goes, I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. And he goes, well, now that you did, now you can get it out of your system, because obviously it didn't kill you. Let's see, just the Earth's way of trying to shake things up. My aunt, oh, your aunt lives in Cali. Oh, cool. Middle, northern, or southern. It's almost like there's, in some ways, we're almost like 2 to 3 sort of separate states in a way. You know, and there have been people who have been trying to split California up for years. But, you know, maybe like a Northern California and a Southern California, like, you know, a North Carolina, South Carolina thing. I remember having earthquakes in Cali. What's more fun is I felt a few, really, where they don't build buildings to handle them. Whole buildings swayed. See, that's the thing, you know, when you live in a place where they don't have earthquakes and they have one, that is like brutal because, I mean, here, everything is built assuming that at some point the earth is going to move. So, you know, but, you know, at least when our buildings sway, it's on purpose to allow for the shock not to jar it. I'm out in PA. I don't know. I think she lives near where Disneyland is. Oh, so that's down in the southern end, where they have a few more earthquakes than we do. But yeah, and in a way, it was like, you know, with my aunt, she was so focused on the idea that this horrible thing was going to happen, she didn't consider what would happen once it was over. And when my dad pointed out, it's like, see, you had an earthquake, it wasn't that bad, and you're fine. Well, then she had to change her whole perspective. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I was fine. Osteria! Welcome, welcome, welcome! Osteria, who is coming to hang out and chill out evening, morning. Well, evening, morning to you too. I wish you a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And, you know, we're talking, the conversation went to earthquakes. Because our dear friend, Lieutenant Dan's legs, they had an earthquake down there. When I was assigned to a unit in Maryland, we had a 5.4 earthquake that freaked everyone out in the building we were in. Oh my gosh. In Maryland had an earthquake? Whoa. And for those who are wondering, my beverage of this morning, I've gone back to a classic. So I'm having some of my good old onion tea with a little bit of cinnamon in it. And I was thinking, it's like, you know, I haven't had any onion tea in a while. So I decided I'm going to have some, and it is delicious. Yeah, well, not recently, it was a few years ago. I was at a mall with a friend, and there was an earthquake, and, you know, people were like, you know, going crazy, and this one person was standing at a Subway sandwich. Question is, does onion tea have... Does it have layers? Well, technically, since I had cinnamon, it has more than one layer, but it doesn't make you cry, so that is good. And my owl mug. I've had this for a very long time. Very, very long time. And, I don't know, it's like I hang on to mugs. Anyway, see, I'm old. I get distracted easily. Here we don't, thankfully, have not other natural problems other than cold winters. Well, yeah, but you have really, really cold winters. But so we were at the mall, and, you know, and my friend and I, you know, we had been through earthquakes before, so it's like, okay, well, you know, we move in an orderly fashion. And we were over by the food court, and there was a guy who was standing there, and the person behind the counter who was making their sandwich was like, you know, they were trying to get out. It's like, hey, make my sandwich first. Well, but there's an earthquake. Yeah, make the earthquake. I paid for that sandwich. I want my sandwich. We're fine. Which was true. Distracted? My job here is done. See, but you know what, JJ? I figure that's a wonderful, you're helping me exercise, because every time you throw in something that is like, oh, I'm going to think about that, it forces me to have to bring myself back into practice. So it's sort of like, you know, you give me mental wind sprints. So it's like, okay, no, practice, back. What was I talking about? Oh, okay. I'm old. But yeah, you know, it is, you know, just like being able to deal with, and really, you know, the main thing is that we can't control when an earthquake is going to happen. We can't control if an earthquake is going to happen. and they just sort of happen. And while there are, people working on being able to predict them, and some of them are actually fairly good, there's still, a lot of randomness to it. And being able to decide what it is that we want to focus on. Do we want to focus on the fact that, for ever since California, I think, probably had its first earthquake, people have talked about the big one. And the big one is supposedly, I kid you not, the earthquake that will separate California from the rest of the country, and it will float into the sea and become an island. That is the view of the big one. And I don't think that's very likely. If it were to happen, and if it were to happen, I don't think we'd be around to deal with it or to, but the idea that, and I grew up with this idea. So, when I was young, it's like, oh yeah, one day there's going to be an earthquake and it's going to break California off from the rest of the country, and California is going to become its own island. And, and there were times when we thought maybe that might not be so bad an idea. But there were people who, really were just very, very terrified about that. And even though, it doesn't seem to be quite likely, that was their focus, that every day could be the big one. And the interesting thing is that, while a giant earthquake that breaks California loose and turns it into Hawaii is kind of a silly idea, doesn't have to break off to be devastating, though. Exactly. It's like, it could be a lot less than that and still be devastating. And, how many of our own, the big ones, do we focus on? And while something like that may seem silly to some, the idea of what do we focus on that is not serving us? What do we focus on that is based in worrying about what could happen, as opposed to, looking forward to what could happen, anticipating a problem, anticipating, that something really, really bad is going to happen, and that's what we think about. It's like, it's like people who get into relationships and then fixate on the fact that, well, eventually they're going to leave me. Eventually they're going to leave me. And it's like, well, they might, but if that's all you focus on, that's kind of where you're putting your energy. It's like the saying that I mentioned yesterday, the idea that, picture two dogs fighting in your head, and one tells you that you're great, you're wonderful, everything's going to be all right, you can handle this. And the other one is saying, you're useless, you're worthless, nothing you do ever works out, and, no matter what you try, you're going to fail. And those two dogs are fighting. And the question is, which dog is going to win the fight? Well, the dog that wins is the dog you feed. And you feed it by putting energy into that idea. And the door opens, and in comes Luna. Hey, Luna. Hello. Come on over, heavy cat. Oh, big kitty. Oh, time for Luna to say hi. Luna says hello. Well, U.S. is so big a country that they can react to that fast as well. Of course, it's hard to build an infrastructure ready for that anymore, but cleaning the mess will work well easily because of so much resources. Yeah, and, and it would take time. Consider how long people were dealing with, the aftermath of Katrina. And how long, just a few years ago, the fires that, were in different parts of this, state, there are people who still haven't recovered from it. And, you'd think that, but it's not as easy as you might think. And the thing is, I agree, we have the resources. I agree 100%, ding, 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 you are absolutely right. The problem is getting the resources to those who need it. And I had the whole freezing Texas thing should illustrate that. Yeah. I have a lot of relatives who were in, Katrina, and a lot of them ended up in Texas. And the problem was, okay, bye-bye. The problem was that because when something big happens and there are so many people who need the same resources, suddenly it becomes like, it goes to the highest bidder. And there were a lot of people. I mean, I had family members who, paid for stuff to repair their homes, who had it there, and the contractor basically used the stuff that they paid for on someone else's project because that person was paying them more. And, when my cousins were saying, it's like, look, you just stole from us. And the contractor said, well, yeah, I did, but they offered me more. And so you're a lot lower on my list. Well, we'll sue you. And it's like, well, good luck with that. Good luck finding, getting me into court in less than 10 years. Well, Haiti was a good example of how they were at start. Yeah, because no resources. But as soon as money started to flow, things started to work. Yep. I mean, it really is, there's light and shadow in everything. And the whole idea that, yes, money does make things happen. It's just sad that it makes it happen most often for the people who have it. And, there are so many people who are too poor to rebuild, who are too poor to, to be able to pay contractors to put them high on the priority list. I mean, literally, the contractor stole the equipment that my cousins paid for and used it on someone else's house. And they were right. They went and, they tried to file charges and stuff. And basically they were told, look, there's way too much going on now. Yeah, in a few years we'll get to this case. But, there's really nothing we can do. Aaron the Healer! Yay! Aaron the Healer! Oh my gosh, we have a fellow healer in the house. What is this wire going somewhere? We have Aaron the Healer. Awesome, amazing, absolutely and completely adorable. You must click on that name, and Twitch does make it so easy. All you have to do is click on the name, and you can click and go to their page and give them a follow and show them some love, because you definitely want to see Aaron the Healer stream. And it is so good to see you. It is so good to have you here. Well, bureaucracy takes its time always and makes things not go the best way, but when it's sorted out, things usually get done. Agreed. I mean, once folks start calming down and you get the people who are really going, it's like, you know what, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this happen. And I will give you a very good example of that. Now, as I've mentioned, I live on a mountain. And to get to the top of that mountain, there is a very windy mountain road. And there are a lot of spaces on it where people have a tendency to just abandon vehicles. And I mean, it's like, if a car gets abandoned there, within a week, it looks like something that you would see on a post-apocalyptic, zombie movie. It's like it's either burnt out, or there's trash filling it, or it's just all the wheels are taken off. And, people just dump them there, and people will occasionally dump an RV. And, you call the county, say, hey, you need to get, first you call the highway patrol and say, hey, this needs to be towed. Well, it's not in our jurisdiction. We'll get around to it. And it sits there for months. And then, you try to call the county, or you try to call anybody. And after a while, us mountain folks, we just reach a point where it's like, you know what, enough's enough. And so somebody will put an ad in, the local, on the local website saying, hey, I got a truck, and I'm going to go over there, and we're going to tear that thing apart. Anybody who wants to come along, and usually at least 100 people will show up to help take apart. Some people make a family thing about it. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to go take apart a car that was abandoned on the main road up. But, people ultimately will take things into their hands, and, it's sort of like, during the season when a lot of trees fall, which, on a mountain, trees fall. Most folks will have a chainsaw in their car. And it's not about calling somebody when a tree falls across the road, and we're all stuck there. It's like, well, who do we call? It's like somebody will get out of their truck and go, call who? And it's like at least 4 to 5 guys will, and ladies will get out of their car with chainsaws, cut it up, I mean, in a hot minute, let everybody through, and oh, by the way, if anybody wants the wood, they can come and pick it up. Because a lot of people have wood-burning stoves and heat their homes with wood. So, it is, once you get a group of folks who say, okay, time out, enough with the arguing, enough with all of that, we got stuff to get done. And then they get it done. And, up here, yeah, we are fairly independent. Our fire department is a volunteer fire department. And I mean, much love. If there's any volunteer firefighters out there, absolutely much love. Because these were folks who, they knew that their own homes were at risk. But they stayed on those fire lines, and it took a while. It took almost a day and a half for the county to get enough trucks up there because there were so many fires. It started because of a lightning storm, and there were like over 70 strikes, almost 80 strikes throughout our part of California. So there were fires everywhere. So our little volunteer fire department was on their own, and they were holding that line through the night. And they would, the airdrops would happen, but the airdrops couldn't happen at night. So from the time the sun went down till when the sun came up, you had volunteer firefighters who were out with axes and shovels holding back that fire line, and it was huge. And they were just doing that all through the night until morning hit, and they could start doing the airdrops, the fire drops. So, I mean, much love to anybody who does that. And it was really, very powerful because they knew the areas that were burning. And 3 of the firefighters, their homes burned. They knew their homes were going to burn, but they stayed on the line. And I mean, you want to talk about somebody who chooses their focus? They could have just, dropped their shovels, dropped their axes and said, what the heck with this? I'm going to go save mine. But they let that go because they knew that, they might be able to save their home, but they could lose a dozen other homes. And so they gave up on their homes. They stayed there. And when you want to talk about somebody who has focus, you want to talk about somebody, you get somebody who's willing to put the needs of their community first. And it was amazing. Cutting trees from roads sounds familiar, other than here that if someone drives to a moose, deer, or reindeer, you call 112 or your 911, and they just give you a number of local hunting clubs so they can come and take it out. But here things are usually done by ourselves because we live in the middle of nowhere. So no worth to use government resources because all the people have skills to some problem. I mean, and it gets done so much faster. It honestly does. Stuff gets done so much faster. And, I totally get it. Because, I mean, we don't have a city council. We don't have a mayor. We just, all the decisions for our little, and actually we are more appropriately described as a village. There's one street. We have no street lights. We've got 2 4-way stops. We don't even have a Starbucks. But, that idea that if something happens, folks here band together, because when the firefighters were down there trying to, save the main areas, there were folks out with hoses and, doing everything they can to soak down not just their homes, but their neighbors' homes. And, when the fire came through and a lot of homes were unfortunately lost, the focus switched to, okay, we're going to get through this. And everybody was posting, hey, I've got an extra bedroom if anybody needs a place to stay. I've got one lady, she had like a big sort of a farm area. Unfortunately, her area was spared. And she told anybody, if you have livestock, if you have anything, you bring it over here. If you've got horses, because there's a lot of people who have horses, there's a lot of people who have chickens, and she opened up her farm as a boarding place. And a local horse club, they volunteered their trailers. They went up into the fire zones and were rescuing horses and, taking them to safety. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons I love living where I live. Because if something happens, if something were to happen with me, I know I could walk to any house, whether I know the people or not, knock on the door and say, I need help. And they would, Just stop by. Oh, Survival Steve! Just stop by to say good morning. Oh, young lady. Oh, I just am tickled by that. When somebody calls me young lady, because it's sort of like I can't help but giggle. I mean, I know at the grocery store, if you buy alcohol, they just need the year of your birth. But I just still get so tickled when somebody cards me. It's like, oh, bless your heart. Survival Steve, how are you this morning? I know you are probably going to be streaming this morning because this is our overlap time. But it's so good to see you. I hope everything's going well with you and your amazingly wonderful family. Folks, got to go by and see Survival Steve, because not only is he an absolute sweetheart, an amazing gamer, and just, you know, awesome at commentary, he's also a, you know, wonderful family man. So if nothing else, go over and, you know, give some love for his family. Yeah, I'm just getting set up. Yep. You know, it is always nice. Had to take my kids, to the doctors. I hope nothing serious. You know, I hope it was just like a, you know, maybe a standard visit. But, you know, if not, I hope everybody's okay. I mean, they needed their shots. Oh, okay. I mean, believe me, that is, my babies are in their 30s. So, you know, but still, it's like, oh, you had to take your kids to the doctor. I go right back to being that mom. So it's just like so funny. It's like, oh my God, mom mode. Of course, now it'd be more like grandma mode, even though I don't have any grandchildren. Well, I have sort of grandchildren, but they're not from my kids, you know, my nieces and nephews. So it's like I'm a grandaunt. But, you know, it's, you know, you get that, okay, suddenly everything in the world stops when you hear somebody's kids had to go see a doctor. Grandma, you're not old enough to be one. Oh, sweetie, aren't you darling? But, yeah, I am. And it's funny because it's like, you know, when I was talking to Papa Merritt once, and I said, well, you know, I'm old enough to be your grandmother. And he goes, yeah. And I said, hey, you didn't have to agree with that so quickly. But yeah, I mean, I am literally old enough to be the mom of a lot of the folks who, you know, I deal with. And in some ways, I find that fun. Hyperactive Chachi! Yay! I'm feeling a little anxious, but I'm going to eat food to help me. That is so good. Hello! Chachi, how are you? I mean, you know, if you're feeling a little anxious, you know what? You know, big hugs to you, and this is your place and your space, and you know, just we'll have some fun, and yeah, be sure to get something to eat. You know, eating is a very good way to ground your energy too. If you know, for those of you who deal with energy. And Lieutenant Dan, congratulations on your 10-year-old granddaughter. And you know, it's you know, I'm so proud of you. You know, because when folks are feeling anxious, often they withdraw. And the fact that, you know, you came in and you know, you're sharing with us and allowing us to support you. I'm so proud of you. That is so cool. And, you know, we'll have a giggle. We'll make up new nicknames for JJ. Yeah. Thanks, I meant, no, I get it. You know, and you know, to talk about that a little bit, but I'm going to go lurk. Mwah! Survival Steve, have a wonderful, wonderful stream, and, you know, thank you for lurking, thank you for being here, thank you for being you, and hey, I hope the kids, you know, do fine with their shots, and, you know, usually it's like about a day of resting, maybe they're a little uncomfortable, but, you know, wishing them a very gentle process with that. But yeah, you know, it's good to consider, like, you know, what we're focusing on, since it is Focus Friday. When we focus on the things that allow us to feel safe, allow us to feel stable, that is a part of grounding. And grounding isn't just what, you know, engineers do. I can already hear JJ thinking, it's like, well, wait a minute, grounding involves, you know, conducting energy down to, it's like, yeah, I know, I was married to an engineering guy. But we're talking about grounding of our energy. And when we're able to shift our focus, yeah, I'm talking to you, JJ. By the way, I finally hit my goal of 200 followers, which are... Okay, oh my gosh. Everybody. Did I shout you out? I don't know if I shout you out. Hold on. Hold on. 1121. Absolute congratulations, complete congratulations to Survival Steve. All right, okay, so got the 200, going to get a new 200, gonna get the next 200 and the next 500. So definitely, oh, please. Oh, so many symbols. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. You know, it's the auto mod thing, but you know, it's it's not you, sweetie. It's the auto mod. I am so happy for you, Steve. Oh my gosh, that is so wonderful. And you know, that is a big thing. You know, and so I'm so happy for you. But hey, onward and upward. You know, so yeah, you know, that is so cool. Thank you for sharing that. You know, it's always good to gain things we can celebrate. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a way that I can anyway, it only timed you. Infamous Joe. Yes. Oh, the beverage for today. I went back with one of my old favorites, which is onion tea and cinnamon, which is basically you boil an onion and you drink the water, and well, you get the water and you sprinkle some cinnamon in it. Though you would want to hear some good news. I thought you would. I love hearing good news, and I love stuff that we can celebrate with you. Oh my God, dude, I'm so proud of you. That is so awesome. Yes, so onion tea with cinnamon. Survival Steve just announced that he reached his 200 follower goal, which is awesome and amazing and wonderful, and we're so happy about that. And Chachi, you know, that is so cool. You know, we got the darkness helps me feel safe. You know what? There is a lot that can be said for that. And you know, it's sort of like, you know, a cocoon. And you know, sometimes it is in that we can actually rest. And so, you know, the idea of what helps us feel safe, what helps us when we need to, you know, for me, you know, ever since I was a little girl, and it may sound weird, yep, a blanket. You know, my next goal is 100 in order to play a game called Stream Raiders as a captain. Awesome. Okay, everybody, let's get Infamous that you know, to meet that goal, because I'm sure that'll be a very fun, you know, thing. Yep, the blanket. Putting a blanket in the dryer, letting it tumble for about 15 minutes, getting it and wrapping myself up in it. You know, that was something that, you know, always comforted me. Gallardo! Hey, you are so gorgeous. Oh my God. Thank you so much. That is so sweet of you. Oh, that is neat. Oh my gosh, that is so nice of you. Oh, you got me a little bit flustered. All right, for saying something so nice, I followed you. Isn't she? Oh, you guys are gonna make me blush on screen. Stop. I'm just an old boomer lady. Well, although I do clean up very nice. I do, you know, I pretty much never wear like makeup or, you know, dress up or anything like that. But, you know, I've been told that when I do, I'm a pretty cool chick. Well, depends what kind of darkness. In total darkness, I don't feel too good. But when it's just dark enough to see in front, it's good. Yeah. That's why you need some emotes, Doc, so we can share it with the world. Oh, God. Stop it. See, that's why it's good that I have Luna, who keeps me balanced, because, you know, if I start getting, you know, an ego, she looks at me like, okay, fine, now go clean my poop box. So, you know, cats are wonderful for helping you stay in perspective. And, but yeah. And yeah, that is true. I mean, everything has light and shadow, including darkness. You know, sometimes I mean, it's sort of like that old thing of, you know, when I was a kid, and when a lot of us were kids, if something happened that scared us, we got under the blankets. We pulled the blankets up over us because somehow that made us all safe. Ah, beautiful lady. To be honest, by the way, I'm 22. Oh, that is so sweet. Wow, you are young enough to be, well, my youngest child. But that is so sweet of you. Thank you. Yeah, I do not hear that a whole lot in my everyday life, so that is very sweet. Thank you. Yeah. All right, now I'm distracted. But thank you, Gallardo. And you know, and once again, it's about where we put our focus. My focus. Oh, and Chachi is 26. See, I'm old enough to be the mom of all y'all. So, and I'm old enough to be the older sister of JJ the Bunny. You know, and, you know, I don't focus really, I mean, you know, on, I mean, obviously, you know, I wear sweaters and, you know, shirts and stuff, and, you know, older sister, exactly, I'm old enough to be your older sister. But, you know, it's, my focus for most of, you know, my life really wasn't on, you know, what I looked like, because I was always very shy, and I didn't look at people for what they looked like, so it wasn't that big a deal for me for what I looked like. Because when I would look at a person, I wouldn't look at them, I would kind of feel the energy of who they are. And I was able to do that ever since I was little. I would feel the energy of people. So, you know, it's like if somebody was, it didn't matter what they looked like, but if I felt that sweetness inside of them, that's how I responded to them. And no matter how beautiful they looked, if I felt that sort of heavy kind of, you know, yucky energy, I would draw away from them. Older sister, never had a sibling before. Okay. We've got that set then, because otherwise, you know, how could I make fun of you so much? Only with love, you know. It's like the total, you know, bunny thing. Yeah, that's total sibling energy. Are you married? Actually, I was married for 20 years. I haven't been married for about almost 15 years now. Can you feel the energy through Twitch? Yeah, actually I can. You know, it's really weird because, you know, it's kind of like being able to, it's sort of like being a ham radio, and you just kind of randomly catch signals. And the thing is that it's not so much like if I'm looking at somebody, if like I'm watching somebody stream, I can definitely feel it, but I can also feel it through the chat. And as people talk about themselves and talk about their experiences, there's that feeling that comes up. And, you know, it's, I mean, which is why it's like for sometimes when people troll, and I've only actually had very few. I've only had, I think, 3. And I connect with them, and it's like, you know what? You don't have to feel alone. And I know that it's easy sometimes to reject, because then if you're the person who initiates you getting kicked out, then it doesn't feel so bad if you control it. But you don't have to do that. And I've actually had people who signed on like, they connected with me through Discord and said, how did you know I felt that way? How did you know that? How did, it was like you were, it's like you know me. And it's like, I don't know. Though I'd say the signals picked up may be distorted. Text generally isn't enough to completely convey everything. True. There are some chatters that come in that I do get a bad vibe from. Then they go ahead and prove me right by certain things they post. Exactly. It's like somebody who comes into the chat and, you know, and they seem actually, you know, it's all cool, it's all wonderful, but there's something that you don't quite feel comfortable about, and then bam, something comes up. But, you know, often I find that once people realize, it's like, no, you're not fooling me. I know that you're just a human trying to be the, trying to make it through this world, and that maybe you've been hurt. And so maybe you become reactive. And one person I flat out told, whoever told you that it wasn't okay for you to just be accepted for yourself lied to you. And it kind of freaked him out a little bit. And, when I tell people, it's like, you've been carrying stuff, you've been dealing with burdens that you're not telling anyone about. And I'm really proud of you because you keep going on. And it's like, I mean, yes, in some ways we all do that. But there have been cases where people, it's like, how did you know? And, it's like, it's really weird because I've done it my whole life, and it's not just with people. It's with things and trees and water and stones and, all kinds of stuff. And, I mean, it's just what I've always done. So to me, it's sort of like a normal thing. And I do believe everybody has that ability to some degrees. And there are people who have that ability who use it to manipulate others. Because if you can feel what someone feels, and it's a part of like being empathic. And, there's having empathy, which is kind of like, oh, well, I get what you're feeling. But then there's another level to it, where someone is actually, and, for lack of a better term, it's a psychic phenomena, where it's not so much just the emotion, it's that you have the ability to resonate at a frequency, an energetic frequency, for lack of a better term, that connects you with someone else so that you feel what they feel as if it's your own feeling. And it's sort of like, that people will, it is sort of like, when people who will convince people of things. And it's like, well, why did you do that? Why? I don't know. It's just, they thought it was a good idea, so I thought it was a good idea. But, and empathy can work both ways. When you are empathic, you can transmit as well as you can receive. Where on the receiving end, you feel what somebody else feels as if it's their own feeling. Transmitting, you can get someone else to feel what you want them to feel as if it's their own feeling. And people who are, like cult leaders and stuff, it's like, well, how did they get all these people to do this? It's like, because they're very good at that. How come I understand other emotions, but I don't feel connected to them? That is a really good question, because sometimes it's built in as a defense mechanism. Sometimes it, because ultimately, our bodies work to protect itself. And that's why we experience certain things that, it's like, okay, if the body knows a particular part of your body is weak, it will stimulate pain so you don't walk on it. I think that when it comes to emotions, because emotions can, become a very difficult thing to separate from, that in some people, they build up an ability to sort of create a buffer so that, you can perceive emotions, but you don't attach to them, which actually is something that a lot of people spend decades trying to learn. And it can be, it can be interesting because that is a tremendously powerful skill. Now, I want the buffer to be gone. Okay. Well, shall we say it would be good for the buffer to be under your control? Because there are situations that you might want to go in where it's like, you know what? I do not need to feel what everybody else is feeling now. And you can have the buffer there. Or you can say, you know what? I want to be open. So that's when you decide. And the real point is to decide and make it conscious how much you want to feel. It's like, okay, do I need, empathy at all? Will sympathy be enough? Because you can sympathize with someone. But if you actually have that ability to consciously have that connection, it's like, okay, do I need it at level 1 or do I want it at level 10? So being able to decide consciously how you want to manage that. And I have a YouTube channel, And I did an entire year talking about empathy and feelings, and and it's interesting because most people want the buffer, but there is a point when it is not productive. Otsins! Yay! Otsins in the house! That is so good to see you, my friend. How are you? How are you doing? I hope you're having a good day. We are talking about emotions, and and in a way that is also about focusing, because when you want, and for you, Chachi, the fact that you want to bring down those boundaries, is it that you want them always down, which is, I mean, your choice, or do you want to be able to decide how much you feel and how much because, and it can be very, very difficult to feel connected to those around you. It's sort of like you're outside looking in at stuff that's going on, but you can't interact, and that is a horrible feeling. That is a very difficult thing, and I just want not to feel numb and alone. I feel like I'm stuck behind an invisible wall. You know what? 24/7. Okay. How about we help you with that? And there are things that you can do to sort of wake up that connection. And often things like, that buffer is built up as a defense mechanism. So sometimes it means looking back into your life at, if you can remember at what point you started feeling that way. Was it as a child? Was it as a teenager? Was it because often people who are very, very sensitive to the emotions of others, they will do exactly like that. They will shut down because everything was so overwhelming. Because as children, we're told things like, well, you have too much imagination, or flat out, well, you don't know what other people are thinking, and why are you crying when something happened to somebody else? Why are you so upset? And so often as children, we start to learn to shut it down because we don't understand it, and it makes our life difficult. So if this has been going on since you were a kid, my guess is that you have a very strong capacity to be empathic, and that at some point in your childhood that it was overwhelming, and so your system, in order to protect itself, created a buffer. So being able to relax, and in some ways it's going back to when you were a kid and discovering what it means to connect and what it means to connect safely. So what you can do is you can start off small, and being able to connect means anything and everything. So just being able to find, it's like being around small animals, or animals generally, because animals don't have buffers. They are just there. They don't have stories attached. They don't go, oh wow, I wonder if my fur is looking really good today because that other dog down the street, I think that other dog has better fur than I do. They don't do that. They are very genuine and very open. So being around animals can be helpful. Also being around plants. If you have, if there's any way you can get like some plants in your room, and then just sit with the plant, and you can observe it, you can notice it, and then close your eyes and feel, and just see whatever feeling comes to your mind, because plants do have feelings. They, yes, I like roly-polies. Ooh, what is a roly-poly? Is that like a breed of dog or something? Or they're like little pill bugs. We have like little bugs that curl up into a little ball, and we call those roly-polies. Oh, pill bugs. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's fine. Actually, you can start with a pill bug. I cuddle with them. Exactly. And you know what? That is how you will tone that buffer down. And, it is because what you're feeling, if you think of why you like to cuddle with them, you're picking up their energy. You're picking up their experience. And I'm sure that they're very relaxed around you, that they don't go into a defensive mode. They don't go into, oh my God, oh my God. But, you know, the fact that you can connect with them, that means that the buffer can come down. So what you do is just, you know, because with a pill bug, of course you're going to feel safe. The problem is that your buffer kicks in any situation where there's something in you that starts to not feel safe. So by just being around things that are absolutely safe and letting yourself connect, allowing yourself to connect with it, because you're already doing it with the pill bugs. And so being able to just like relax with that, and then you slowly work your way up. I just need to pretend everybody is a roly-poly. Hey, that's not a bad idea. That is not a bad idea at all. I would suggest connecting to things in nature, because nature has a very gentle energy. It's non-threatening. You know, sitting and Mixel! Mixel 119! JJ the bunny rolls into a ball. How are you, Mixel? How are you doing? Folks, one of our young rising stars in the Twitchverse, Mixel 119. You know, definitely go and give his channel some love. He does a lot of streaming, and he, you know, and if you ever want to learn German, and of course, Mixel, whose English is really, really, really good. We are building my pool. Ooh, nice. Just in time for summer. So, yeah, you know, Chachi, you're already on. See, that's why I always say that people have the right answers. They have their answers within them. They just need the right questions in order to reach it. So the idea that you have that ability to connect. It's just right now it's mostly focused on pill bugs. But a pill bug is still a being. It still has energy. And so by spending time around things in nature and allowing yourself to connect to it, it's sort of like, and it could be anything. I mean, if you live near a river or you live near the ocean and you sit next to that river, feel the energy of that. Feel yourself connecting to that. Because, you know, and well, one of the things I am is also a medicine woman, and I deal in indigenous traditions and a lot of earth magic. I'm also a druid, so there's a strong connection with earth magic and earth. So being able to connect with nature, and then you slowly move up, you know, it's like you connect with nature, you connect with animals, you connect, and then, you know, start with very young children, because very young children, you know, like babies and stuff, you know, they just are, and they're safe. So by sort of building up a tolerance to you being open, what it's going to do is it's going to bring those boundaries down and that buffer and that filter down, because it will not be triggered by you not feeling safe, not feeling accepted, not feeling like it's okay to feel. So definitely, I'll be happy to work with you on that. But you know, we can definitely get you set up on that. You'll be back to feeling stuff in no time. And you know, it really is, you know, if we can focus on the possibilities as opposed to the limitations. If we can focus on, you know, because, you know, for you, Chachi, being empathic is a hard thing, because there's this, you know, this difficult area where it's not something you choose. So being able to make it into choice, then you can choose to focus on the benefits you have from it. My pill bug impression. Oh my gosh. JJ the bunny has a pill bug impression. Oh my god. Okay, y'all, you need to click that link. You need to click that. JJ, you are brilliant. You are. See, Chachi, you know, if you click, I'm guessing since you said lol, you click on that. Okay, if you picture that when you're around people, you know, because that is just so cute. Oh my gosh. See, I can always count on JJ for an amazing bunny moment. A funny bunny moment. Time for me to lurk. Gotta go get ready to head off to the airport. Today I volunteer at the USO. Awesome. And Lieutenant Dan, thank you for your service. Both being in the military and your service to the USO, because that is awesome and that is amazing. And y'all, you need to go and follow this man. If I mean, amazing gaming aside, and he is awesome, Lieutenant Dan does some really, really good stuff out there taking care of other folks. So we definitely want to support that. And it is cool. It is neat. And, you know, it's good to talk about the things that are weighing on us. And Chachi, thank you so much, because you opened up an opportunity for a conversation that probably there's a lot of people who may watch this will go, wow, I can totally relate to what they're talking about. I can totally relate to how that feels. Like I said, you can go to my YouTube channel, and there is an entire playlist on empathy, what it means, how to manage it, you know, how it affects our lives, how it affects our interactions with others. And I mean, it was literally every week for a year, so there are 52 videos in there. Hi, Dre. Yep. My mom will get mad at me for showing emotions. Maybe that's why I feel numb around people. Exactly. Because, you know, it is so important. And the fact that you're putting these pieces together, that is the great part. I mean, you know, people is like, oh, well, you know, if they ask me for answers, it's like, you know what, whatever answer I give you is going to be the answer that relates to me. But you have your own answer. You can navigate this, and often it's just about finding the pieces to put the puzzle together. So you are totally right in this moment putting those pieces together. And yeah, if you would show emotion and being empathic and feeling the emotions of others means you're not only showing your emotion, you're showing the emotions of the people around you. And for somebody who doesn't relate well with emotions, and I would guess at some point she was made to feel that emotions were bad, and when you're empathic, you feel what someone else feels as if it's your feeling, as if it came from you. So if she had that feeling towards you, then you began to have that feeling about yourself, which meant you had to create a defense mechanism to be able to protect yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, Chachi. Look at this. You're coming up on all kinds of, I mean, between pill bugs and this, you know, these are all those pieces. And, you know, and it's not about, you know, fault or anything like that. It's about cause and effect. And going, okay, let's reverse engineer this. You know, this is the situation. How do we get there? You know, how do we get here from where I started? So, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing an amazing job. That is awesome. And, you know, and thinking about some of these things will help you to be able to, the more you think about it and the more you go, oh, now I get it. Maybe this has to do with that. What that's going to do is suddenly you're going to find you have more control over what you can do. You have more control over it because then it becomes choice. So, you know, I can see them. I just have trouble feeling them though. Yeah, because there's a disconnect. Because at some point, feelings became a bad thing. And when you're empathic and yet you're told that feelings are bad, man, that is like, you know, that's an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. And it creates tension and stress. Breathe and realize it's like, oh, okay, I can feel, I can, you know, I can totally resonate with it, or I can just bear witness to it. Because there are times when it's good when we can be able to just bear witness to an emotion and not get wrapped up in it. And what that does is it also allows you to be an excellent counselor, because you can hear what somebody's saying, but you don't get so wrapped up in their perspective of it that you lose your objectivity. That is an amazing skill, to be able to have that ability to be objective. And that is an awesome thing. That's something I hope that you never totally lose, because it will serve you so well. Because then you can choose to go into that objective place when you can, it's like, you know what? Sorry, I'm not buying this. Just because you want me to believe this doesn't mean that I believe it. And then you can choose. Find the roly-poly within me. That's right. You have to find your inner roly-poly, or a bunny picture. So, yeah, as you go through, the feelings, and the first step in being able to do what you're doing is to want to. That becomes your focus. And I am so happy for you. I'm so proud of you for taking, for really wanting to create that change, because so many people just decide to sit in, the hard stuff. So good for you. You're doing amazing. And, focus on the poly. Yep, poly focus. Alrighty, my friends, that's our time for today. And I would hang out a little longer, but I do have a Zoom meeting that I have to go into, like, in just a very short amount of time, and I've got to do a couple of things to get ready for it. But thank you so much, and I want to thank everybody who has shown up. I want to thank everybody who is in our wonderful Loving Lurkers Lounge. Osteria, have a wonderful day and have fun. Chachi, mwah, blessings. You're doing awesome. Breathe. Lieutenant Dan, who's off, getting ready to do some amazing stuff. Of course, JJ the bunny, and oh my God, that bunny thing is so cute. Yes! Folks, click on the link. Honestly, even if you're watching after the fact, click on that link, because it's adorable. And Mixel, thank you for being here. Otsens, yes, is here, and Gallardo, thank you for putting a smile on an old lady's face. Thank you. That was so sweet of you. And Infamous J.O., of course, my personal Obi-Wan Kenobi of Don't Starve. And Survival Steve is off doing Survival Steve stuff. And, Aaron the Healer, thank you so much for coming in. And I'm just like scrolling through because I want to acknowledge everybody, because all of you mean the world to me. And I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And, I hope that you appreciate yourself and that you focus on your possibilities and not your limitations. And that if you're going to tell yourself a story, make it a good one. And most of all, I want each and every one of you to remember that you are the only you in all of the universe, the only you that has ever been, and the only you that will ever be. And what that does is it makes you special, it makes you sacred, and it makes you necessary. Because as the only you in all the universe wouldn't be the same or complete without you. So, let us see who we would like. You know what? We're going to go and we're going to raid Survival Steve. We're going to give Survival Steve a raid to celebrate the fact that he is, he made his 200 goal, and that is so cool, because it is. I mean, let us celebrate. It's so good to be able to celebrate stuff. JJ, mwah, little bro, yes. Have a good one, everyone, and see you. Thanks for your amazing personality and mind. Oh, right back at you, sweetheart. And definitely, we got this. We're gonna get you exactly where you want to be, as far as what you feel and what you choose to feel and all of that stuff. That's going to be awesome. So those of you who can come along on the raid, cool. Those of you who can't, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. And as I would tell my sons when they went to school, have a good day, learn something new, I'm proud of you, and I love you. So join us tomorrow for Survival Saturday, where I play a game and find interesting ways to die and all that kind of stuff. But until next time, bye.